Welcome to INN News on May 1st, 1960. My name is Neil Patel, and I'm here with my co-host Park and Dahlia. Today, we'll be covering the topic of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. First, here's some background information for those who do not know much about this issue.
In 1955, Khrushchev and Eisenhower met in Geneva to address the tensions between the two countries and to address the issue of rebuilding Europe after World War II. Eisenhower proposed an open skies policy, which is an aerial monitoring system, but Khrushchev refused the idea.
Now, wasn't this the first of three meetings set to occur between these two leaders?
Yes, tensions have been improving between the two countries after Khrushchev's visit to Camp David and Washington, D.C. The American public no longer fears a third nuclear world war.
Hopefully these problems will subside by the end of this third meeting. Now, on to Todd Campbell with sports. Breaking news. Nikita Khrushchev has just announced that an American U-2 spy plane has been shot down near the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. We have some footage of the crash, which will be displayed shortly. Warning, viewer discretion is advised. Wow, what a tragic scene. That's all from us, folks. Now on to our partner networks for more information about this tragic incident.
It was shown as he told the Soviet Presidium that pilot Gary Powers of the downed American reconnaissance plane was alive, and that Russia had seized spy photographs made 1,400 miles inside Soviet borders. The plane was brought down on May Day, less than 2 weeks before the summit talks, and Mr. K was quick to play on the incident for propaganda advantage. Out in the open came the story of the most sensational intelligence operations yet revealed. America officially admits extensive flights over and around Russia by unarmed planes during the last 5 years. State Department spokesman Lincoln White gives the reasons for the flights.
That given the state of the world today, intelligence collection activities are practiced by all countries, and post-war history certainly reveals that the Soviet Union.
On display in Moscow, the wreckage of pilot Francis Powers' U-2 reconnaissance plane for Muscovites and foreign newsmen to see as the Soviet launches its most belligerent anti-American propaganda barrage in recent years. The spy plane incident on the eve of the summit was seized upon by the Kremlin and blown up to proportions that startled and shocked the outside world. Khrushchev himself at the Moscow press conference loosed a furious tirade, charging America with deliberate aggression. and threatening to attack any Allied bases from which U-2 jets flew over Russia. Hopes for the success of the summit talks even then grew faint. It was clear at the time that Mr. K was laying groundwork for a clash in which the actual issue would be his demands on West Berlin. Pessimism was in the air as Khrushchev arrived in Paris. On arrival, he denounced certain influential circles, in his words, who were preventing the improvement of the international climate. It was clear that the emotional Russian premier was in an ugly mood. President Eisenhower arrived, amply forewarned by Mr. K's bellicose pronouncements and prepared for heavy going. Ike was unsmiling, and in his airport address, troubled but not without hope.
The hopes of humanity call on the four of us to purge our minds of prejudice and our hearts of rancor. Far too much is at stake to indulge in profitless bickering.
Then, Khrushchev deliberately torpedoed the first meeting with an insulting tirade directed at President Eisenhower personally. He withdrew his invitation to the President to visit the Soviet Union and demanded a public apology for the U-2 spy flights. Ike disclosed future U-2 flights had been canceled, but the summit talks seemed on the verge of collapse. In a few brief hours, Khrushchev had brought Soviet-American relations to their lowest point since Stalin at his worst.
The tension caused by the U-2 spy plane incident, as well as the competition between capitalism and communism, ultimately led to the Cuban Missile Crisis and the continuation of the Cold War. If the plane was not shot down, the Soviets may not have supplied Fidel Castro with nuclear weaponry. The US may also have been able to gain the Soviet Union's trust, and in turn they could have helped negotiate with Cuba. Cuba may have been more willing to compromise if the United States had the trust of the Soviets. This would have prevented the Bay of Pigs, saving lives, money, and relations between